Friday, November 30. Let's begin by telling you that the final severance packages were paid out to redundant sugar workers today. Anara Khan was on the ground at the Wales and Enmore estates. She tells us that the sugar workers who collected their final severance payments are looking forward to improving their lives.
Sugar workers were gathered outside the Wales Estate Administrative Building awaiting the payout of their severance. Rohan Sugrim has been working in the sugar industry and said he will be investing his payout.
Actually, it's a Christmas holiday coming along, so you have to put aside some for the holiday and probably when the new year starts, do some investment. Out there is not easy, you know, and we're working with a construction site. Yes. It's a bit challenging, but you have to make everything okay. Yeah.
Joseph Prasad also welcomed the receipt of his final payment. Prasad said he is currently unemployed and practicing subsistence farming.
We can put it at the bank. Well, by the half of next year, I get to go. I mean, I can go abroad.
Ramphal has been working with Guy Suko for 23 years and would like to get into farming despite finding work in general construction.
We came from agricultural background and we tell them, listen, we can go back to farming providing we get the land. Financing, we asked them the government should set up an agriculture bank and seek market opportunities.
InfoHub also visited the Enmore Community Development Ground, where we spoke to several workers who welcomed the severance payments.
Well, I feel very good because I was waiting a very long time and now everything happened and coming the right time because it's Christmas holiday. You have a lot of fine things to do.
Well, I feel happy about it, right? Because when they pay the force off, a lot of people comment about it. But I say every disappointment is before a good, right? We had half, and now the other half come in good.
This is what I've called the end of the chapter, because we have been waiting for several months now. And I'm glad that the government have come through in terms of the final payments for all of the workers that attached to East Demara Estate.
For InfoHub, Anara Khan.
President David Granger returns to Cuba for further medical checkups in the new week. Public Infrastructure Minister presents report on Fly Jamaica accident to Cabinet. These and more in the post-Cabinet roundup.
Minister of State Joseph Harmon on Friday during a post-cabinet press conference said President David Granger is expected to return to Cuba on Tuesday of the new week for further medical checkups. The president recently returned from that country on November 20 after undergoing a series of tests and medical evaluations following the diagnosis of non-Hodgkin lymphoma.
He is working on a reduced workload, but in fact is in command, in charge of the business of the state. The president is having meetings, he is giving directions and so on and so forth, but he is he's much better than when he left for Cuba. The treatment regime will require him going to Cuba on a number of occasions. The president, I believe, has asked that at least so that I convey to you and to all Guyanese who have actually wished him well, who have sent messages of comfort himself and his family, to express his thanks for all of those outpouring of concern for his health. In the government, we want to say that we continue to work assiduously to ensure that the visions of the president are kept.
Government has agreed to sell its 6.7% interest in the Guyana Stock Feeds Limited to Pegasus Hotel owner Robert Badal. According to Minister Harmon, the offer entails the purchase of government's holdings of 5,437 ordinary shares at $25 per share.
The offer to purchase the shares by Mr. Badal, the majority shareholder in Guyana Stock Feed Inc., was the only one received in response to two separate requests or proposals, the last being published in the 4 daily newspapers over the period October 29th to December 7th, 2017. Cabinet approved the sale of the shares as proposed and authorized NISIL to complete the sale transaction.
2 external loan agreements have been signed between Guyana and the Caribbean Development Bank, CDB, the first to the tune of $1,265,000 for the water sector enhancement project. Minister Harmon said studies will be conducted to determine if the Hope Canal could be used as a source of potable water. The second loan, worth $4,367,000, will go towards the transport sector enhancement project,
which would include the construction of a new bridge at Wisma, region number 10, a new stelling at Parika, region number 3, and upgrading the aerodrome at Lethem, region number 9. Cabinet approved the loan agreements and directed that they be laid in the National Assembly.
The vision of the Green State Development Strategy, GSDS, the brainchild of President Granger, was presented to the Cabinet. The GSDS, Minister Harmon said, is a model of development over a 20-year period, which provides a roadmap of how the country can prudently manage its natural resources wealth. It also outlines expected benefits to sustainable development in Guyana in the context of the Green State. Minister of Public Infrastructure David Patterson has presented to the Cabinet a report on the November 9, 2018 crash landing of the Fly Jamaica aircraft. Government also described the actions of the firemen who stole personal items from the aircraft as reprehensible. The State Minister said this has tarnished the image of the country. Appointments have been approved for members of the National Commission for the Elderly and the Trade Recognition and Certification Boards, among others.
Cabinet has agreed to the appointment of Mr. William Boston as Director of Juvenile Justice, Mr. Andre Messiah Gonzalez, Deputy Director of Policy, and Mrs. Tiffany Daniels, Deputy Director of Administration. These appointments will serve to support the implementation of the provisions of the Juvenile Justice Bill that was passed in the National Assembly in April of 2018. This is now an act. Those provisions include the decriminalization of a number of offenses.
More news from the post-cabinet press conference can be viewed on our website and social media. For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
In other news, the capital city is now under new youthful leadership as Pandit Yubraj Narayan was elected the new mayor of Georgetown, while Alfred Mentor was elected deputy mayor. Isaiah Braffett has the details.
Narayan and Mentor were elected this morning following a swearing-in of the 30 elected councillors that make up the Georgetown Mayor and City Council. The mayor-elect, who also represents Constituency 1, said the councillors must put aside divisions and work for the betterment of Georgetown residents and the transparent management of the affairs of the city.
We must speak to each other and reach across the islands of politics, race, religion, creed, and engage our thoughts and arrive at a consensus. In Georgetown, the environment must be protected. The resident must be given services that are uncompromisingly excellent. Businesses must thrive and the young be provided with opportunities for their talents.
Minister of Social Protection Amna Ali described the swearing-in process as a return of democracy and involvement of young people. She called on all councillors to put aside their political differences and work together for the development of Georgetown.
And I want to say at this stage, it is not APNU, AFC, and PPP. It is Georgetown, Guyana. I want to call on councillors and all Guyana to come together, to work together, to live in unity, and let our main theme be development.
The council will begin duties from January 1, 2019. The election of the new council, mayor and deputy mayor follows the recently hosted local government elections. Isaiah Braffett for InfoHub.
Still to come, Total Tech Academy graduates the third batch of Guyanese for oil and gas industry and pump commissioned at Buxton. These and more when we return. Stay with us.
Being diagnosed with HIV can be difficult, but there is hope. Treatment is free and available at HIV care and treatment sites. Medications are easy to take and will get the virus under control. It is important to know the names and not just the color of medications. NGOs have workers available to help you learn about the pills. Talk to your health worker about your treatment program.
Welcome back. Tiffany Rogers now tells us that more than 20 young men and women are among the third batch of Guyanese to graduate from the International Petroleum and Maritime Academy's Oilfield Safety and Operators Training Program managed by Total Tech Oilfield Services.
The graduates include 4 women and a former worker from the sugar industry. Mauricia James is among the first set of women to graduate from the training program.
For me, it's putting your best foot forward and letting persons and people know that you're not just there because you want to be. You choose to do that because you love what you do.
Imran Khan said he applied for the program after being retrenched last year when the sugar industry was downsized.
This is the readjustment. It's kind of tough, but it's manageable. Yeah, coming from Gaisuku, anything is manageable.
Rubina Adiana is from Berbice, and she's confident there is opportunity for persons from the sugar industry that were retrenched.
They should have patience because there is and will be bases, the oil bases that will be opening directly where I am. Just have patience, have hope, and people with families could come and probably get themselves employed and get experience on hand, experience here right now.
The graduates received their charge from Nigel Hughes, the managing partner of Hughes Fields and Stobie law firm.
Your challenge is really to be able to put yourself in a position where you're so qualified that your qualifications do not only limit you to working in Guyana, but you are globally competitive.
Most of the graduates will be employed by the Guyana Shore Base Incorporated. CEO of Total Tech, Lars Mangle, noted. Mangle added Total Tech will start its 4th oil field safety and operations training next year. By 2019, Total Tech would have trained 100 persons in this program. For InfoHub, Tiffany Rogers.
Ghana has successfully completed 6 years of negotiating the Voluntary Partnership Agreement on Forest Law Enforcement, Governance and Trade. Tiffany is back with that story.
At a reception to celebrate the major milestone, Minister of State Joseph Harmon says the initialing of the VPA pushes Guyana closer to establishing a fully green state.
We are pleased because the implementation of the agreement will assist greatly in our efforts to effectively manage our forestry resources and to promote legal, sustainable, and environmentally friendly exploitation of those resources. This is fully consistent with Guyana's quest to establish a green state and our 20-year Sustainable Development Plan as outlined in the Green State Development Strategy.
The agreement made between Guyana and the European Union was initialed by Minister of Natural Resources Raphael Trotman last Friday in Brussels, Belgium. Ambassador of the EU delegation, Jernek Viditic, said that Guyana has set the standard for green development within the region.
This is the first VPA to be initialed in the Caribbean, which makes Guyana not only a pioneer for good governance and sustainable forest management, but also an example and inspiration for all in the region desirous of following Guyana in its pursuit of a green economy. Today, you are also sending a strong message to the rest of the world that Guyana is committed to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals and global objectives of combating climate change. You are also saying to the world that Guyana respects the rights of its indigenous peoples by democratically involving them in an initiative which will guard against deforestation while protecting the rich and unique ecosystem that is part of the Guianas.
Ambassador Viditic pledged the EU's unwavering support as Guyana leads the region in the fight against climate change. Speaking on behalf of the Food and Agricultural Organization, or the FAO, United Nations Development Program Resident Coordinator Mikiko Tanaka said Guyana also has the FAO's support.
FAO is supportive of the BPA and its roles and looks forward to the anticipated positive results to be achieved under this agreement. This may seem to the rest of the world a small step, but it is a giant leap for Guyana towards a more resilient and diversified economy.
Deputy British High Commissioner to Guyana, Ray Davidson, said while this step is significant, it is only the beginning for Guyana.
Initialing of the agreement is a vital step if Guyana is to improve access to international timber markets.
The FLECT VPA provides good governance for the export of wood from Guyana, ensuring it comes from a legitimate and sustainable source. For InfoHub, Tiffany Rogers.
And here's your green tip for today. Paper products account for about a third of the waste commonly found in landfills. Sponges, washcloths, and towels are cheaper, reusable, and take up less space than paper towels. And when they get dirty, they're easily disinfected by boiling them in hot water. No waste necessary. That's all for this evening. Connect with us on WhatsApp and social media and follow our website at dpi.gov.gy. Your bridge and weather reports are up next. Goodbye.